So I was trying to talk on this topic, which I've been kind of pursuing last few months and few years, for that matter, on having a stable chamber by perfecting your incisions and trying to change your surgical technique a little bit to make it more predictable, frankly. So I think I'll start by, mostly it's going to be a video thing, but I wanted to share a few important points before I go on to my videos. So we keep talking about chamber stability and surge and chamber fluctuations, and the newer machines like the Centurion and the Signature, which have amazing fluidics because they minimize chamber fluctuations and they have all the things that it takes to stop surges from happening, and therefore the complications. So I think chamber stability depends a lot on phaco machine dynamics. Of course, that's what we've learned. I remember 25 years back or 20 years back when I started, maybe it's actually going to be almost 25 years. I started doing phaco. I used to have a Storz Protege, a Venturi machine, and there was so much talk between the AMO machine and the Storz and the one or two other machines which were available, the Opticon, that this machine has surge. And then I remember when Appa came out with the first machine, people would say that, oh, it has so much surge in it and the vacuum is uncontrolled. And we were working with fish pumps. I remember Dr. Amar Agarwal talking about fish pumps. It was an amazing thought process at that time, because that he would install, all surgeons, all the big surgeons would say, put your bottle to the roof, have long poles for infusion and put your infusion bottle to the roof. And the fish pumps would also kind of add to that, and that would basically increase the fluid flow in the chamber and make sure that your chamber fluctuations are minimized and the stability is good. So that's how important it was to have a stable chamber by pushing in more fluid, and so now we have the newer machines, which like the Centurion, which comes with the pressured infusion, and then the Signature Pro, which has a very amazing quick response fluidic system where it can detect chamber losses very quickly and kind of stabilize the chamber, and you can work at very low fluidics. So the key thing is that how to minimize surge. That can be done by minimizing the vacuum settings. By surge usually happens when you use very high settings and when there is sudden post occlusion surge. Also, it can happen when you have fluid losses from the ports, the main port. If your incision sizes are not right, if they are leaky, you could also have chamber not be remaining stable due to that reason. So chamber stability can be probably worked upon by using newer machines, like I mentioned. And also, I think something which I've been working more on now to take it to the next level is minimizing the unaccounted fluid losses from the chamber. And if you can do the second bit, you don't necessarily have to do the first bit, which means that you can easily implement this without buying very expensive new machines which cost 50, 60 lakhs. So of course, we all understand that when there are chamber fluctuations, there will be complications. There could be, sudden PC rent during any stage of surgery. It could be during the last piece that you're, emulsifying. It could be during irrigation aspiration. You could have suddenly a zonular dehiscence. Shallowing of the chamber can cause the PC to bulge up and can be caught in the aspiration port. It can happen with, PC polishing. You could have endothelial damage because of the high flow and the shallow chambers. You could also have iris prolapse from wounds which are leaky, and you could also end up having a poor outcome and poor visual outcome with corneal edema. So I wanted to share a few videos where it really matters how we are making our incisions. Just watch this. So here we are trying to make the main port, and did you see that? It was just in a flash, and I went and punctured the anterior capsule there. I'll just show it to you again for your benefit. This is what happens when you are probably using a blade which is not of the best quality, or you have been reusing your blades for long periods. So every blade has a life. They are meant to be disposable, but even if you're going to use them for a couple of times, be very careful to change your blades timely. Otherwise, things like this will happen. This was an intumescent cataract, and in a moment, my anterior capsule was ruptured because my blade was not of a good quality. Showing you another video here. This was from a live surgery just last year in January. I was visiting one of the top conferences where you have no control on what instrumentation you'll be provided. I like to use an angled MVR nowadays from Money for many years, but here I was provided. I asked for an MVR and I was given an MVR, but it was not angled. So it probably was of fair quality, but it was not angled. And when it's not angled, for me, using a non-angled MVR, especially for making the, I would like to make two side ports. And if I have an angle, a non-angled, a straight MVR, you will obviously have to want to go in the iris plane. And to do that, you'll have to really be very, very, kind of careful in what you're doing. And if you have an uncooperative patient, or if the blade is not of good quality, see what can happen. Just see that. If you see that, it was a blade which I was trying to use. It was not of the best quality, and it was a straight blade. And now here I'm making the nasal incision. So I'm more careful now, but see that because the blade is brand new, but it's not of the best quality, so it causes sudden entry. And this is exactly what Dr. Kishore sir was trying to say, that if you have a good blade, you don't need to use counter pressure.
You are still
And
safe,
here
Dr.
I've
Baba.
punctured the entire capsule, and this is going to complicate the whole surgery now. So just watch again how this happened. And here I'm just trying to make that first incision. And as I do that, it just goes suddenly and goes. It just happens in a jiffy. And because I'm used to such high quality blades, I don't expect this to happen. And also because this was not angled but a straight MVR for the side port, two reasons why I managed to get the complications. So this can happen. And I'm so scared when I'm doing phakic lenses and ICLs, because if you happen to get something like this, it's pure disaster. So especially I would suggest that if you do
You are still safe,
phakic
Dr.
lens
Baba.
surgery, I think Kamal's voice is here. Here, he was probably standing by during this surgery as
No.
well. Kamal, do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Now I pulled out this short video clip just for your benefit from one online video, because I don't use this kind of a blade also for the side port. But this just watch this again. This is a different kind of blade which a lot of surgeons do use, and of course use it to good effect. But I somehow am not comfortable, and I'll tell you why. So just watch this. I don't know if it's whether it's playing or not. Oh, I think it's not playing for some reason. Anyway, so I think it's not playing. So what I'm trying to show you here, it's for some reason not playing. So let me just show you. This is that side port knife, which is 15 degrees. Now, essentially, you can imagine that when you push this in, it is going to keep increasing the incision the further you push it in. So if you just push it in a little bit, you'll have a very small incision, which will be shaped more like like a triangle. And if you push it more, so the outer bit will be wider, the inner bit will be smaller, but there is no possible calibration, because there is no mark at which you can decide when to stop. If you push it in too far, you will have a very big port. If you push it in too little, you may have a very small port. So there is no way of judging how your incision is going to be made. And that can be the reason why your side ports may be leaky. And when I 15, 20 years back, when I used to use a blade like this, how I was taught, I switched to MVRs almost 20 years back. But when I use this, I would often get iris prolapse from these side ports, because the side ports would not be as effective as they are when you have a calibrated side port. So let's see how you can calibrate your side port. So this is again trying to show you how, see, this is what Dr. Kishore sir was saying. The blade will just go through. You don't have any resistance. It just goes through it. I'm not even putting any counter pressure there. And it just goes in beautifully. And then I'm going to put in some, tighten the chamber. I don't use viscoelastic to tighten the chamber. I just put in 0.1 ml of BSS, or if a patient is sensitive, I'll put in 0.1 ml of lignocaine jelly, lignocaine injection, and then I'll go in and make the second pot. So going on, this is another surgery where again, this is a femto-assisted surgery, and off late for my femto surgeries, I no longer use femto incisions, because they can sometimes be more time consuming and less predictable. So you can see how effortlessly the blade goes in. And these are my side ports. Now, at this time when this video was recorded, I was using the standard side ports, and I'll show you what I currently do and what I've been working with. And here I'm then going to make the main port. So you can see how effortlessly that happens. And I don't have to really stabilize the chamber, and there goes. That's the side port, the main port. I use a 2.2 main port, and I prefer them over my femto incisions because of the amazing, structure of the incision, and the ease with which, and the quality of the blades, which allow me a perfect incision, which is going to be non-leaky. So going on, this is another kind of surgery where it becomes very important. You can see how many cuts this RK has. And my preferred technique is to do a femto-assisted surgery for RK, which may sound counterintuitive, but for me, it works beautifully well, because my manipulations inside the chamber are minimized. And that's what you want when you have so many pies to the cornea, that the rhexis is already done and it's quite predictable, and my nucleus is already cleaved into many pieces. So my manipulations in the chamber and the cracking pressures and everything will be minimized, putting lesser stress on the incisions. Now, please watch the incisions as I make them here. So that's one side port. I'm obviously trying to place the incisions in between the arc incisions. And here is the main port. You can see that again, I'm not even stabilizing the chamber, as sir was saying. And here again, I'll show you that my main port not stabilizing. Now, of course, I could have done a scleral tunnel, but over the years, I've learned that my incisions using the money blades are so beautiful that they are perfectly sized, and using femto assisted surgery, I can actually complete the surgery. And 99% of the times, I don't end up suturing my RK incisions at all, because the incisions are so perfectly made that I don't end up causing any uneasy extensions of the incision or anything else. So frankly, the surgery was good. It went off well. At the end of surgery, you can see I do a trypan blue test for integrity of the wounds. And you can see that once I've hydrated the wound, I'm checking the IOP, and I put a drop of trypan blue on all the three incisions, my two side ports and the main port. If they leak as it is leaking here, you'll see that this one is leaking. The others are nicely sealed. And if it's leaking, I can wait for a while to see that it stabilizes, or I can, kind of go back and seal it a little more. And then I'm confident that the surgery is gone off well. So frankly, good incisions make a lot of difference. Now let's see what we have here. So here again, now we have made one side port. This was the nasal side port, and then the second side port. So if you notice, the two blades are sized differently. The first one was a 21 gauge, and this is a 23 gauge. I'll show you again. So the first one here is a bigger, wider blade. And the second one, I've been playing around with the sizes of my incisions because I'm playing around with my instrumentation as well. So I'll just show you why. This is a 23 gauge angled MVR, also from Money, that I'm using. And now using the 2.2 incision, I use the double bevel keratome with the guard. So these are these blades which come with the guard. And you can see what kind of chopper I'm using now. So this is a special chopper which I've had designed from Epsilon, which helps me in minimizing the fluid losses from the side ports. So it's tailored to be going in through a 23 gauge side port, so that the fluid losses are minimized. And I'm working at fairly low IOP. And during the chopping maneuvers, my chamber stability remains extremely good. So how I'm minimizing the chamber fluctuations is by ensuring that my main port and my side port are all calibrated to the instrument. See, we all make our main ports to the exact size that we are using the phaco tape and the sleeve for. So that obviously is not going to be very leaky. And what the little bit of leakiness is there is, let me just pause it for a moment. So whatever leakiness is there from the main port is basically to keep the incision cool. And so you want some amount of BSS to keep flowing through it, so that the incision does not have incision burns or wound burns. But for the side port, frankly, you don't need any leakiness, because you just need a stable chamber. Unnecessary fluid loss happening from the side port only contributes to high and poor chamber stability. So now watch that once I've completed the cataract surgery part, I'm now enlarging my side port, which I had made to 23 gauge, now to a 21 gauge, because I'm going to use 21 gauge bimanual IA handpieces, which are specially designed for the exact wound size that I'm going to use. So I have bimanuals which are 21 gauge and 22 gauge, and I've been experimenting with both of them, and they both work extremely well. So let's go on and see how the chamber stability remains during the process of bimanual irrigation aspiration. So you can see that my two ports are now perfectly sized to my instrumentation. And here the chances of chamber fluctuations are minimized. And now the third step, where chamber stability is again very important. I don't use viscoelastic for my IOL insertion. I do a hydroimplantation for many, many years. And again here, if you don't have enough IOP in the eye, a stable chamber, and if your fluid losses are not minimized, you cannot have a stable chamber. So if your side port is going to be leaky and you're putting the infusion on from the side port, you will not have a stable chamber. So you cannot do a good hydroimplantation either. Now watch that I have a very, very stable chamber. You can see those beads of viscoelastic which are there in the cartridge actually. And here I've been able to inject. So people wonder how you can do a good hydroimplantation without difficulty. It's because you have perfect side ports through which there is no fluid leaking, and the cartridge tip is plugging the main port. So the chamber becomes nice and stable, and you can easily inject your lens. Now coming on to another surgery here. Now here we'll be doing a cataract again using the 23 gauge side ports. There's one. You can see again. So you can see again that we've had the incisions done. And now you can come to the Peco part, where again I'm using the specially designed chopper, and you can see that it has a widened stem. So while it's very nice at the tip, but as it comes to the main part, it has this calibrated, shaft, which completely occludes my 23 gauge. So if it completely occludes, there can be a problem because there will be overlocking. So it is just enough for me to be able to move my chopper very freely and also move it a little bit to the side to side. So obviously some small leakage is bound to happen, but it's so minuscule that my consumption of BSS has been now minimized. We've done studies ever since we started doing this part. Now my infusions are good. My fluid consumption has come down from almost 70-80 ml per case, and you can see how I'm struggling to get into the side port. It's not a great thing. So calibrated side ports are very important, and we've been working on our instrumentation to make it perfect. But our fluid consumption has become almost half of what it used to be. Now just watch that. I've got my side port instruments in, and they are snugly fitting into that. And then I can go ahead and do my cortex removal and have a very, very stable chamber and almost no leakiness of the wounds. And this ensures that I can work. If you look at the top right, my fluid levels are just 40 centimeter bottle height. So with just 40 centimeter bottle height, I'm doing the whole surgery was done on 40 centimeters. It was a fairly hard cataract, and this allows me to work seamlessly without any chamber fluctuations and complete the surgery and very predictably. And then of course go in and implant the lens as well. So their hydroimplantation with just a 40 centimeter bottle height and a non-leaky side port because it has been calibrated and made perfectly by the correct instrumentation. And that's why I love the Money blades, because they give me the exact perfect configuration of the wound and the size of the wound, so that I don't have surprises during surgery. Now here, this is a little older video where I wanted to just share. I'm using the same chopper, but my incision is not calibrated to that. This is a 21 gauge side port, and you can see if you look at this area, you'll be able to see how the fluid is escaping actively. So if you this, I'm showing you this video just because I wanted to share with you what I was doing just few months back. And yes, I do have the same chopper which I was trying to design, but can you see how much fluid is escaping from the side port? Now this obviously sets up a high flow system and a shallower chamber. And of course, even with the Centurion that I'm working with, I'm still not going to be able to get a very, very stable chamber because there is the fluid loss from my side port is phenomenal. Now this can be minimized. You can see that my incision is much bigger than my chopper. And while I have a chopper which should have gone through a 23 gauge, I'm using a 21 gauge side port. And we rarely pay attention to this, and I'm surprised why nobody has ever spoken about this before. But this is how you can actually have much better control on your surgery and fewer surprises. Now here on a 21 gauge um, incision, I'm using the bimanual IA, which is meant for 22 gauge incisions. And you can see that again, some fluid is still continuing to leak from the side port. Can you watch this? So it's continuously leaking. So just see how much difference it makes to have just one, gauge difference on your instrumentation, and the whole surgery can be changed. So how important it is to have your instruments calibrated to your incisions so that you don't have surprises and a very, very stable chamber there. So otherwise you can end up with complications. And going on, I just thought I took some screenshots from the catalog to just tell you the difference between the angled and the straight MVR. So these are the straight MVRs, and these are the angled MVRs which come with the safety or the guard. So it ensures that your blades cannot cause injuries. Plus, you can maybe reuse the blades once or twice for your surgeries after, if you use them carefully, because they don't get damaged. And another reason I showed you this slide was to see the range of blades that are possible, starting from 23 gauge or 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1.1, 1.2. So the whole gamut of blades is available, and that's what makes life so easy for me, because I can play around with my incision sizes to whatever I like. Similarly here, if you watch, this is the slit knife which I use. So you can have straight from 1 mm to 1.2, 1.4, and like that, going on right from 2.5 to 2.65, 2.75. Choose what you want, and you can kind of source these blades for your perfect incision and play around with them to see that when is your wound not going to be leaky. Similarly, another slit knife design, which is what I use, the angled one, and you can have the whole range from every 0.1 steps. So you can customize your incisions to what you would like. And this is one new knife which I'm looking forward to use. It's the side port knife, which is angled and makes you an exact 1 mm, which is about 22 gauge. And this is something that I'm hoping to use very soon. So a whole range of knives, which I'm really enjoying. And so I think I would like to stop here by talking about how interesting it is to work on chamber stability without spending lakhs and lakhs on new machines, which give you that chamber stability in spite of leaking incisions. And you can easily do that by customizing your incisions to how you would want them to be with your matching your instrumentation size. And therefore, the safety and predictability of your surgery depends a lot on perfect incisions. And the right bleeds can make or break a perfect surgery. And calibrating the side ports can be a great way to minimize chamber fluctuations and replicate the fluidics of high-end phaco machines. So I'll stop sharing now, and I hope I was able to give you a message. So now I think, take comments from Dr. Kamal and Dr. Kishore, sir. If you think...
Gaurav, this was a phenomenal presentation. We practically have covered most of the stuff which I was going to speak about, so which I'm very glad, because since I am not carrying my presentation and videos with me, so you more than did my job. And I agree with you. You see, having a great machine is great, but all great machines will fail if you have a bad incision. You could have a 2 crore machine, but if your incisions are bad, they're leaky, the architecture is not right, they'll fail. So I think whatever you said, the point went home. And most of the time, most of us are concentrating on the main wounds. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I have identified, we have a lot of trainees who come to my organization, and we have a lot of junior associate surgeons, they're learning. A bad side port is often the most big culprit than the main wound. It's the bad side port. And this is one of the most poor ignored facts. And I'm surprised even the people who are training people in institutes and PG institutes are for some reason ignoring this. Everybody's concentrating on a biplanar, triplanar, hinge incisions, and everybody ignores the side port. So I think you did a great job by pointing out the side ports also. Dr.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same thing that probably I'm just going to repeat it. What Dr. Gaurav was asking me, how important are the instruments? I mean, this is the importance of an instrument. If you have an exact size and where you just go that, and then, you can just prevent the leak from this. This is what Dr. Gaurav was asking me, how important are the instruments for this. Any surgery that you do is the sharp instruments and then a proper instruments is the key for the success of that surgery.